Before you reach for another supplement or wonder why your sleep still feels off, there's something most people aren't told about how your body actually uses essential nutrients like magnesium. You might be eating healthy, even taking the right supplements, and still feel tired, tense, or restless at night. And that can be confusing. But recent conversations in nutrition and wellness are starting to highlight something important. It's not always about how much you take. It's about how your body absorbs and uses it. In fact, simple everyday foods, the kind already sitting in your kitchen, may play a bigger role than you think, especially when it comes to supporting your overall balance, energy, and sleep. So the question is, are you giving your body what it really needs, or just what you've been told works? Have you ever felt like you're doing everything right, but still not seeing results? Let me know in the comments. You're definitely not alone. Because what we're about to uncover might completely change the way you think about nutrition. And there's one part most people overlook entirely. It's a frustrating feeling. You try to eat better, maybe you even add supplements into your routine, and yet something still feels off. Your sleep isn't as deep as it used to be, your body feels tense for no clear reason, and your energy fades faster than it should. For many people, this creates a quiet kind of confusion because on the surface, it feels like you're doing everything right. But when you take a step back and look at how modern lifestyles have changed, a different picture starts to appear. Today, a large part of daily eating habits revolves around convenience. Packaged foods, quick meals, and busy schedules have slowly replaced more traditional patterns of eating. At the same time, there's growing discussion about how factors like soil quality and food processing may influence the nutrient content of what we eat. So it's not always about personal choices alone. Sometimes it's about the environment we're living in. One nutrient that often comes up in these conversations is magnesium. It's involved in many normal functions in the body, including how muscles and nerves work. But what's interesting is that many people don't think much about how they're getting it, or how their body is actually using it. And that brings up an important point that's getting more attention recently. It's not just about how much you consume. It's about how your body absorbs it. This idea has led to more conversations comparing supplements with whole foods. Supplements are widely available and convenient, and for some people, they're part of a routine. But at the same time, there's increasing awareness that nutrients in whole foods come naturally combined with other elements, things like fiber, healthy fats, and plant compounds, that may play a role in how the body processes them. In nature, nutrients rarely exist on their own. They're part of a larger system, and when you eat foods in their natural form, you're getting that full combination. That doesn't mean one approach is better for everyone, but it does explain why many people are starting to look more closely at their everyday meals instead of relying only on isolated nutrients. This is where simple, familiar foods begin to stand out in a new way. Take almonds and pumpkin seeds, for example. These are foods most people already recognize, but they're now being talked about more often in nutrition discussions. They provide magnesium along with other nutrients like healthy fats and minerals, and they're easy to include in daily life. You don't need to completely change your routine to add a handful of nuts or seeds to your day, and for many people, that kind of simplicity makes it easier to stay consistent, which is one of the most important parts of maintaining any long-term habit. But even if you're including nutrient-rich foods, there's another factor that's becoming harder to ignore, and that's gut health. You've probably noticed how often this topic comes up lately. And it's not just about digestion anymore. There's growing awareness that the gut may influence how well the body absorbs and uses nutrients. Foods that contain fiber, like beans, legumes, and other plant-based options, are often associated with supporting a balanced digestive environment. And when that environment is functioning well, it may help the body interact more efficiently with the nutrients you consume. This shift in thinking is important. Instead of focusing only on what you eat, people are beginning to consider how their body responds to what they eat. It's a more complete way of looking at nutrition, one that goes beyond simple intake. And then there's another piece of the puzzle: how nutrients are transported within the body. This is where healthy fats come into the conversation. Foods like salmon are often discussed because of their omega-3 content and their role in supporting overall wellness. But more broadly, fats are part of how the body handles and distributes nutrients. When nutrients are consumed alongside healthy fats, they may be processed differently compared to when they're taken alone. It's another reminder that the body works as a system, not as isolated parts. So instead of thinking about individual nutrients in isolation, it can be helpful to think about combinations, meals that include a balance of different food groups, proteins, healthy fats, and plant-based foods, tend to support a more complete nutritional picture. And then there's one food that often surprises people in this conversation: dark chocolate. Not the heavily processed, sugary versions, but higher cocoa varieties that are often mentioned in moderation as part of a balanced lifestyle. It's interesting because it brings together both enjoyment and nutrition, something that's sometimes overlooked in health discussions. For many people, this represents a more realistic approach to wellness. Instead of focusing only on restriction, it allows room for balance. It shows that supporting your health doesn't always mean removing everything you enjoy. Sometimes it's about making thoughtful choices within what you already like. Of course, none of this works without consistency. And that's where simple daily habits come in. Not extreme routines, not complicated systems, but small, repeatable actions, including a variety of foods, paying attention to balance, noticing how your body feels over time. These are the kinds of habits that quietly shape long-term well-being. And maybe that's the most important takeaway. Health isn't usually about one big change. It's about how different pieces come together: what you eat, how your body responds, and the patterns you build over time. When you start looking at it this way, it becomes less overwhelming. It becomes something you can actually manage in your daily life. If any of this made you think about your own routine, you're not alone. A lot of people are starting to ask the same questions. Feel free to share your thoughts or experiences in the comments. It's always helpful to hear different perspectives. And if you found this helpful, you can support the channel with a like or share so others can learn too. Because what we're about to explore next might shift the way you look at everyday nutrition even further. And there's one simple factor most people still tend to overlook: